Is Justin Simmons still a top 10 safety in the NFL? Voters from around the league told ESPN that they don't think so. So we're going to talk about that today. Which Broncos safeties are most likely to make it onto that sort of list in the future? We'll talk about the edge rushers, and we're going to wrap things up by drafting our favorite 90s movies. And Todd has an advantage because he was alive back then. Stay tuned for another 30 seconds, and we'll jump into all that. Welcome into the Toyota Lounge for the DNVR Broncos Podcast. I'm Henry Chisholm. We've got Super Bowl 50 champion Todd Davis here, and Zach is still out of town. I didn't even ask RK if he sometimes he's on Fridays. Is he still in Vegas? He must be.
I mean, Summer League, I don't know. In Vegas, I feel like that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's here or not, but I think if I had a choice, I would be here.
You would be here. I think we should go out to Summer League one of these years too. Like if they already have like the house for all the Nuggets guys,
why not?
We do the podcast from Vegas.
Hell yeah.
Seems like a good deal.
Let's put it on the books.
Also, yesterday after the show, we talked a little bit about Russell Westbrook potentially joining the Nuggets. And I thought that some of that would be good to talk about on the show, just because it's been on my mind a lot.
Get me fired up.
Sounds like at some point Russell Westbrook, that's scary, is going to come to Denver and take that final roster spot. I know we're not doing Nuggets podcast, but you're not a fan of that.
I just don't know if he's the piece to complete the puzzle. Shout out to Russell Westbrook. He is from California.
Oh, that's right.
Los Angeles native like myself, so you know what I'm saying. Always love.
Did you ever? No, you would have never played him.
Is he like the piece that solidifies what KCP left? Like the void that is now there from KCP? I don't know. I know he's kind of be coming off the bench, and we'll need a backup point guard. I'm interested to see how it works out, is what I'll say.
See, I get hyped about it at this point. So at first, when people were saying like Russell Westbrook sounds like that's going to be a final piece for the Nuggets, I was like, Russell Westbrook, we've seen him for a decade and a half now, and things don't always go great for him. Like that's not really the piece that you want. But the more I've thought about it, the more I just think like it'd be fun. At the very least, like there'd be games that would be awesome, and who knows if he's like good enough to actually be a valuable piece. But like, I'm willing to experiment there. When you've got a minimum contract to give out, I'm fine giving it to Russell Westbrook and seeing what happens.
Yeah, let's see. I think, I'll sit back and watch unbiased.
Yep.
And I think I just know for myself the switch will be very quick for whether I love it or I hate it. But I'm willing to see how it goes for sure.
Yeah, I remember because we went to the Clippers, and my barber is a big Clippers fan, and he was so hyped. And I went in there, I was like, why is this guy so excited about this? It's Russell Westbrook. And now all of a sudden I feel like I'm falling into that same trap. But it could be fun.
It is.
It could be fun. We've got more lists to get to today. Actually, it's a Friday, and I have one other thing that I'm upset about. I'm curious if you're upset about it too. Skeens, the pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, they pulled him during a no-hitter yesterday.
So pissed.
With like 2 innings left. Like, you have to give him the chance to finish that, right?
No, absolutely. I don't watch much baseball.
Yeah.
But I understand baseball and sports, and I know if you have an opportunity to hit or have a no-hitter, like, you got to let him try that. Because you can't say that you pitched a no-hitter through 7 innings. You can't.
Nobody cares.
You can't call that.
It's such a lame thing to say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, you can't brag about that at all. And he's like a great pitcher, and he's going to be really good for a really long time. Like, he's a rookie who's starting the All-Star game. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
This could have been the best game of his career.
Yes.
Like, if you let him finish that one out, I think he gave up 1 walk, no hits. If he actually closes that out, that could be the greatest game of his career, and he could go down as one of the best pitchers ever, too.
For sure. Huge pause, but you got to let him finish.
You got to let him finish. You got to let him finish. Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way. Okay, we're jumping into the safeties list here. Not a lot of Broncos ties, depending on how you see Justin Simmons at this point, but that's kind of the big storyline, I think. So let's just start right there. I'm going to read this list of the top 10. This is the same thing as yesterday. ESPN sent out ballots to 80 different voters. They all work in the NFL, either in the front office or as scouts or as coaches. So this is what they came up with. Number 1, Antoine Winfield Jr. Number 2, Kyle Hamilton. Number 3, Jesse Bates. Number 4, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Number 5, Javon Holland. Number 6, Budda Baker. Number 7, Derwin James. Number 8, Kyle Duggar. Number 9, Talanoa Hufanga. Number 10, Xavier McKinney. Honorable mention number 1, Justin Simmons. What do you think of that?
I think that's trash. I know that all of these guys do different things. Like Kyle Hamilton kind of does it all.
Yep.
Budda Baker's a tackling machine. Minkah Fitzpatrick does a little bit of both. Very good at, what he does. But if you talk about guys who are assassins on the field as far as like knowing where the quarterback wants to go with the ball and being able to take advantage of it, I think for his time in the league, I think nobody's had more interceptions than Justin Simmons.
Yep.
Why in the hell would he not make this list?
I don't know.
Saying? I just don't understand. He's been a top wide receiver. Top safety for years, and I don't think his play really like diminished in 1 year last year. If you would have asked anybody before the season's Pro Bowl, All-Pro player, he's top 10. But now after this year, I don't know if it's because he's not with the team right now. That doesn't change the player he is or has been. You know what I'm saying? And in his and for him specifically, he could be with the team right now if he wanted to.
Yep.
He's waiting for the right opportunity, you know what I'm saying, where everything lines up, winning franchise, plus the numbers make sense to be able to go and, finish out the rest of his career. It's not because he can't find a home. Please believe that. So it doesn't make any sense for him not to be in the top 10.
It's pretty crazy to me, especially because last year he was number 3 on the list. The year before he was number 1 on the list. And I think he's about the same player he was back then.
For sure.
Like, I think the missed tackles have kind of ticked up a little bit over the past 2 years. But you also look at that, like by PFF's count, there were 9 missed tackles last year. 3 of them were week 1. It was kind of like a slow start. And then after that, it wasn't an issue. I don't know where you see that drop off because he still seems like he's just as good of an athlete deep. I guess he only had 3 picks last year. He'd had at least 5 in each of the previous 3 years. But I don't like interceptions come and go, and he's proven that he goes and gets those. I'm not looking at him saying doesn't seem like he still is a ball hawk. I still think he's the best deep safety in the NFL.
For sure.
And if you want to argue about like would you rather have a Kyle Hamilton who plays more in the box or like a Budda Baker? It's one of those sorts of guys. Like that's a stylistic, like personal taste type of conversation. You could make the case for those guys, but he's certainly top 5.
For sure, without a doubt. But if you look at the list, a lot of these guys play in the box.
They do.
Or come downhill.
Yep.
So I don't know if, the people that were voting are more prone to liking safeties in the box. That would be the only reason I could say that they would make the list like this. But even then, I would still put Justin Simmons in the top 10. Last year was a fluke year, missing 9 tackles. He's not, he's a sure tackler.
Yeah.
He's a solid tackler. So it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. We'll circle back to where he should be, but let's just go back to the top of the list here. Antoine Winfield Jr., number 1. Last year, they had him ranked number 10. You think he's the best safety?
No.
Justin Simmons?
I think my favorite safeties in the league are Kyle Hamilton, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Justin Simmons.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite.
I like that list.
Yeah.
I think Kyle Hamilton in particular is an interesting one. So in the actual story, which since we're talking about, I should say, you guys should go read this if you have an ESPN Plus subscription, which I feel like everybody has at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like Big Sky fans, certainly. That's how you watch all those games. But one of the things that an anonymous NFC scout said was the ultimate Swiss Army knife. He was used in every way possible last season. You have to be aware of him on every snap. But an AFC executive said, doesn't fit the bill for everyone, but he's really important for them. You have to know where he is at all times, that sort of stuff. Because it's interesting, the reason he fell was because he ran a 4.5 940. And when you're thinking about a guy who you want to play deep, it's a little bit concerning. You wonder if he's going to get beat. And what you found is that guys who are built like him, built similarly to like a Justin Simmons with those long arms, long legs, like 6'3", that makes up for a bit of the speed just because you can reach out and get wherever you need to go. But he is a very unique player. And I think there is something to the fact that he isn't like a perfect fit for everybody, just because you do need to... Like, they have so much man coverage in that defense where you simplify the assignments for everybody. And, like, if you just want him to go erase a tight end, he's great at that. But in, like, a pure cover 3, he's an interesting fit.
For me, I feel like I always wonder if... I've always felt like it's harder to play man than it is to play in coverage. So if you're smart enough and quick enough to play in man coverage, it should be easier for you to play in zone. So if you're in a 4-5 and you're nervous about his speed, he should do better in cover 3 than he should do man-to-man. But it's the opposite. And not the opposite, but he's shown to be very good in man cover, so nothing would lead me to say that he couldn't be great in a cover 3 defense. True. And for what he does, you could put that in any defense.
There's a spot for him for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
He could just be the strong safety every single play.
Yeah.
Come down and guard the tight end, come down, guard the slot man-to-man, and come down and hit people. Like, he never truly has to play deep. I think there's definitely a position for him on all 32 teams as far as, like, the safety position goes.
Yeah. I think he's also... Like, if you're a defense in the AFC and your goal is to go win a championship, you know that you have to be ready to beat the Chiefs.
For sure.
Like, you need to have a plan for the Chiefs, and that might even be the number one thing on your list. And having a Kyle Hamilton who you just say, like, yep, he covers Travis Kelce, and he can hold his own right there, that's a good starting point. And I think that him playing that role kind of boosts his value a little bit. I think that he fits what you need in a defense in the AFC particularly well right now.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you were playing in the NFC where you've got the Eagles and you've got the Cowboys are always winning 13, 14 games, like these really big spread out defenses or offenses, then maybe when you're more worried about covering ground versus lining up and focusing on one individual matchup, it might be a little bit different.
Yes.
I think, there's something there.
Yeah, I would say, like, I'm not comparing him to Christian McCaffrey, but in my mind, it's the same thing. Like, some people would say that if Christian went to a different team, then he would struggle by what you ask him to do. But in my opinion, he could do anything you ask him to do, so there would be no reason for him to struggle. He would just adapt. I'm not saying he is, like, that talented, but at the same time, there's not much he can't do. So I don't understand why him leaving teams would mean all of a sudden now he's out of the box and not able to find, like, ground to cover.
Yeah, and the thing with him is that he can do anything, but when it comes to catching the ball in the backfield, he might be the best ever.
Yes.
So if you're smart, you're going to like cater to the things where he is one of the 2 or 3 best to ever do that one particular thing where it's like, even like motioning out in the slot, there's all those little things that he does so well. If you wanted to put him in any offense, he would be a very good running back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3, Jesse Bates. More of a deep safety. He's always on these lists, and I feel like I just never watch him play all that much. I think last year might have been his first year with the Falcons. Obviously came over from the Bengals. Doesn't say how long he'd been there. But yeah, kind of an interesting guy, and I feel like there's some of those at safety for me. Like Micah Hyde's another one where I feel like I just haven't watched a lot of him, and so it's tough for me to say, like, would I have him 3 or 4? But I think that's probably how most of the league treats Justin Simmons.
Yeah, I really liked Micah Hyde's gameplay over time. I don't even see him.
He's another free agent still, so I wonder if he's just being devalued because of that.
Yeah, but he was really good safety for the Bills for a while.
Yeah.
And played a pretty versatile role with them too. So I think he should at least be on the honorable mention. I don't think he's not a trash safety, Micah Hyde, but nevertheless, we can stick with the guys on here. Minkah Fitzpatrick, we know what he does.
Yep.
I think number 4 is pretty pretty right on point for him as a player and him as a safety. There was times last year or 2 years ago where he was number 1 and number 2. But I think he's kind of settled into that 4 spot and kind of can do anything that the Steelers need him to do.
Definitely. He's for a minute there, he was one of my favorite players. Who doesn't? The safeties have like a way of being that guy, where it's like it's him. It's like Kyle Hamilton, like you said. Like you just have to love watching him play. Unfortunately, Derwin James is in the division, so he doesn't make the cut. But Minkah Fitzpatrick is just one of those guys who you can put anywhere and ask him to do anything. Well, remember when he was playing corner back in the day for the Dolphins? Like that was the first little dispute there, is what position he should be playing, and now they start playing more in the box and. Pittsburgh, whereas at points in his career they played it more deep. And so when you can just do all those different things, and that's just incredibly valuable.
Yep.
Gotta give a shout out to Circa Sportsbook. Unfortunately, like we said, we are not in Las Vegas right now, but the Buffs guys were out there for the Big 12 Media Days. Justin Michael was out there for the Mountain West Media Day. I think the Nuggets crew is already out there for Summer League. They must be, because I think the Nuggets play their first game tonight, which is kind of crazy. I've got to put that in my calendar. But yeah, we love Circa because they have all sorts of awesome things to do. Like they have in my opinion, the world's best sports book, because it's a nice combination of the huge wall that they have in there where you can watch just about any game you could want, or they have the stadium swim. So if it's a nice day, you go up and watch all the sports outside while sitting in a pool or cabana, whatever you want. If you're in Colorado, you can download the Circa Sportsbook app. They excel in the long odds situations. So betting on a golf tournament, for example, betting on a big comeback, because they take a lower cut than other sports books because they don't pay so much on marketing or the little boosts that help you make more money in each bet. They just give you better rates overall. A lot of big bettors use them because of that. Now, if you want to check it out for yourself, you can download the app at circasports.com. Circa Sports bets can only be made while physically located in the state of Colorado. Must be 21 or older. All rights reserved. Circa Sports Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org.
And shout out to Indeed. We're always driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is a great place to post your job, to be able to find candidates. It's perfect if you need to hire. You need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors. That's a lot of people. I know I don't need that many people at my company, so that's a huge pool to choose from, and a lot of these people are very qualified, and you don't want to miss out with Indeed. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? You need Indeed.
Awesome. We only have a few minutes to get through all these safeties. So let's see. Javon Holland at number 5. They've got Budda Baker at number 6. Derwin James at number 7.
Do you like Derwin James? Do you think he's like a top 10 safety? Because he has spurts, right? And then there's times where he
exactly.
doesn't look so good. Yeah.
And I think, I was listening to the Move the Sticks podcast with Daniel Jeremiah and Bookie Brooks this morning. One of the things they pointed out was that the Staley defense really put him in good situations. Like there's a lot of like bring him into the box. Like he played really well. And that got me thinking, if you're changing this defense a little bit, you're bringing in new coaches with obviously the Jim Harbaugh coaching staff, could that hurt him a little bit? Like if you were in this defense that really seemed to be working well for you, could all of a sudden a safety who is kind of that hybrid-y player, but he's certainly better at certain parts of the job and not so much the others, I could totally see him not fitting a scheme, and all of a sudden, we saw it kind of with Jamal Adams. There just wasn't much of a role for him.
Yeah, I think that, it really can go either way, when you change coordinators, change defense, sometimes a lot of coordinators have their favorite position. And more often than not, they kind of protect that position, put that position in better situations, give tough responsibilities to other positions. So their favorite position can kind of like not have an easy day, but it's a little easier for them. And so that's how all coordinators work. And with Staley, it could have just been the safeties. Now, it might not be now, and now we'll have to see what he could do. But he could very well flourish and show that he's the same player regardless of scheme, or he could also, take a back step because now the scheme's different. Now they're putting him on islands. Now he has to figure things out, and it may be tough for him.
Because it really feels like in that defense, like if you're the defensive coordinator and you're building a game plan, the first thing you think of is, what do I do with Derwin? Because everybody else just kind of set or forget. Like Asante Samuel, their top cornerback, he has his strengths, like he's good in coverage. He has his weaknesses, like he isn't a good tackler, and he half the time doesn't even try to be. You don't really do anything with that, though. You kind of he goes and does his own thing. Like you've got those two old edge rushers, they go do their thing. The real question is, what do you do with Derwin? And if all of a sudden you're in a defense, or you have a coach who isn't so focused on what does Derwin do best, how do we help Derwin, I could totally see him kind of falling by the wayside a little bit. And it doesn't take much, because all of a sudden if you go from asking him to sit in deep coverage 3 or 4 times a game to now doing that 10 to 15 times a game, he's just not nearly as valuable as he was before. And you might be after this season saying like, he's washed, he's cooked, there's not much left in the tank for him.
Yeah, if I was making a top 10, I probably wouldn't put him in my top 10. He'd definitely be in the honorable mention category. But I'd probably put Justin Simmons, and I even like the way Justin Reed plays, kind of in my top 10. So
yeah,
good safety, but probably not a top 10 guy for me.
And there's just so many box guys in here. You got Kyle Duggar up next with the Patriots. I loved him as a draft prospect, but he's just physical in the box. Kind of, the Patriots have always had those hybrid players, but you see more of them as like the linebacker edge rusher type hybrid. Guys who can line up in the 3-4, the 4-3, they can switch things up. Kyle Duggar is just that exact same thing. Then Talanoa Funga too, who was my favorite player in that draft class, and he wound up slipping because of the 40 time. But even back when he was at USC, he was just a monster. Like you watch that Rose Bowl game against it was the Pac-12 championship and the Rose Bowl back to back, where he was just dominant, and that's all translated. Because safety is a weird position like that, where you have like a guy like PJ Locke who doesn't really have the measurables that would say you got to get him on the field, but when you put him on the field, he makes plays, and sometimes that's what it comes down to. Number 10, Xavier McKinney, who just signed with the Packers. A lot of box safeties. Let's just run through honorable mention real quick. Justin Simmons, Jalen Petrie, Justin Reed, Marcus Williams, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brian Branch, Andre Sisco. Is Justin Simmons the only guy who you think should have been in that top 10?
Yeah, maybe Justin Reed too.
That was the 10. Name. Yeah,
he could have been 10 for sure if you redo the list. Cause I think he's a good player, and he was good for that defense. And you saw how it ended, but so obviously he played his role, So I thought he was solid.
Yep. Also receiving votes: Grant Delpit, Trayvon Morig, Efiato Milifonwu, Jaquan Brisker, Donovan Wilson, Alohi Gilman, second safety for the Chargers, Geno Stone, and Jabril Peppers. I feel like this position isn't as deep as some of the others.
Yeah, I feel like it's a, kind of top 10, 12, and then everybody else is kind of like a second tier. You know? I think we looked at, maybe was it running backs or D-line, where we felt like there was just a little bit more depth at the position, really points to argue about. A lot of these guys even receiving votes, haven't been like stars like that in a minute. Like Jabril, when he first came in, baller. Last couple of years, maybe not so much. So I think it's about kind of like right the way it's set up. Besides Justin Simmons and Justin Reed, I think it kind of got it right.
Yeah, I think so too. If a Bronco makes this list next year, who do you think it is?
Jones.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. Just because, it's not a knock on PJ, I think Jones just has had more playing time. So his first year fully starting, I think, will be an easier transition than PJ's first year fully starting. Now, I think PJ's going to have a great year, but I just think that Brandon is more used to playing maybe 50 plays a game, every game, week in and week out to prep. And so it's just a little bit of a learning curve when you have your first year starting, fully starting.
Yeah. I think to be top 10, definitely. I think there's a case for PJ to be more likely to get at least like receive a vote. Mm-hmm. Mostly because you look through some of these other names down there, like Alohi Gilman in particular, the safety for the Chargers. He was a 6th-round pick out of Notre Dame. Again, just like box safety, undersized, not all that fast, but he's just found a way to be a solid piece who doesn't really make many mistakes and might give you a play here or there. I think that's kind of the mold that PJ can take. Mm-hmm. I think PJ can be such a solid option and get enough numbers is the other piece of it, just because you look back and, like, what was 3 games in a row, he had the sacks. So I think that he could get enough numbers and combine that with being a pretty solid option to at least sneak in and be like 24, 25, 23, whereas Brandon Jones is more of just a gamble, you know?
Yeah.
And
PJ definitely will make the plays. He'll make the splash plays. And he'll have, like, complete games. Some safeties have, like, a good game tackling, a good game, like maybe an interception. He's the kind of safety that, in one game he may have a TFL, a sack, and a pick. Like, he'll fill up the stat chart. So, I don't disagree with you there. I think he can find a way to get on this list. Yep.
I also think Brandon Jones really does fit the mold that they're looking for here. Box safety, but versatile. And I think that, again, just given the moves that the Broncos have made, seems like he's probably playing that Justin Simmons role more than, the Kareem Jackson role when you think back to the past 5 years. And so there's stuff on tape that makes you think that he can do it. He certainly has the physical tools, but where he's going to probably make a name for himself is as a blitzer and, rushing the edge, getting tackles for loss around the edge. And when you look at, Tauno Funga, Kyle Duggar, Derwin James, that's who's making their way up into the top 10 here. So I think that's probably the right pick. All right. How about the American Raptors? The American Raptors are awesome because, we talk a lot about how if you're a former athlete, you played college football, maybe you played a little bit in the NFL, but then you want to jump back into something else. Things didn't work out. You can go play for the American Raptors, get a tryout, and see if there's room for you on the team as they try to teach some of the best American athletes they can find how to play rugby and hopefully get them on the U.S. national team, which actually trains at the same facility out in Glendale. But Michael Bandy actually went to the American Raptors and then went back to the NFL and played a bunch. I think he had like 22 catches for the Chargers a couple years ago, was on the Broncos practice squad last year, looked really good in training camp. He's kind of the only real slot option. We never talk about how American Raptors can then jump back into other sports, but I'm excited to talk to Mr. Bandy about the Raptors at some point in the future. You can watch all their games on ESPN Plus. We have them covered with the DNVR Rugby Podcast. Like I said, you can potentially go play for them if you're interested in that, and you're a former athlete in particular. On July 22nd, so that's not this Monday, but the next Monday, they'll have a movie night with a special showing of Barbie. So the gates open at 6, movie starts at 7. You can bring your own chairs, blankets, coolers, all those sorts of things. Don't bring any grills, glass containers. And if you're not bringing food, they'll actually have food trucks there with options to purchase. All their movie nights in 2024 are free to attend, so don't miss out on the fun, family-friendly event at Infinity Park on Monday, July 22nd.
And shout out to True Fan Travel. This is your passport to a world of sports. You don't just want to watch the game, you want to live it. I mean, watching the game at home, being able to sit on your couch is fun, but being able to be there in person with a beer, with a hot dog or some popcorn and see your favorite players make plays. I think that's the best part about enjoying sports. So you need to check out True Fan Travel. They have 4 or 5 star accommodations, a unique local experiences. They make it's an unforgettable sports getaway. And this year we're road tripping to Tampa Bay on September 22nd. Our trip package includes a 3-night stay at the Wyndham Grand Clearwater Beach, True Fan Boat Party, a Q&A with Broncos alumni, all-inclusive tailgate party, round-trip transportation to game, game tickets to the Broncos versus the Buccaneers game, on-site trip coordinators, and more. Like that, we are fully loaded for
It's
the
gonna
trip.
be so
It's
fun.
gonna be a great trip. It looks like all you need to do is bring yourself to have a good time. You'll be well taken care of, and you can head to truefantravel.com to secure your spot with a deposit. That's truefantravel.com to get all the details and secure your spot.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome time. I'm excited because I'm also getting up to Missoula for the season opener against Missouri State, which I might have already said on the podcast, but between that and the trip to Tampa Bay, I'm pretty fired up for football season.
I don't think anybody wants to go to that. You're not the only person there.
I will not be. There'll be 27,000 of us there. Edge rushers. We're going to hit this real quick. No Broncos made the list, as you probably guessed. Number 1, Myles Garrett. Number 2, TJ Watt. Number 3, Micah Parsons. Number 4, Nick Bosa. Number 5, Max Crosby. Number 6, Aiden Hutchinson. Number 7, Danielle Hunter. Number 8, Josh Allen, who is now Josh Hines Allen. Number 9, Trey Hendrickson. Number 10, Brian Burns. To me, there's like a pretty clear top 5 here.
For sure.
And this is just a much, in my opinion, deeper opinion than those safeties we looked at.
Yeah, without a doubt. And really, like from Myles Garrett, TJ Watt to Micah Parsons, those three could kind of be interchangeable at times.
Probably, yeah.
They're all, crazy off the edge. Nick Bosa, Max Crosby. I think that's the top 5, like without a doubt. And then I know Aiden Hutchinson is 6, but I think Danielle Hunter has been better for longer, and he's just underappreciated, man.
Yep.
I feel like, being on the Vikings, he struggled with some injuries a few years ago, but just as a player, man, I think he's easily the 6th best edge rusher in the league. But overall, it's a pretty good list of guys. Montez Sweat,
Yeah.
only player to have 6 sacks lead the team in sacks for 2 teams.
Oh, in the same
year.
season? Yeah.
So that you
That
can't
is
knock
crazy.
that, for sure.
Danielle Hunter had 16.5 sacks last year.
He's been a baller.
Yeah. And now he's playing across from Will Anderson,
Yep.
which is going to be pretty crazy. Will Anderson in the honorable mention category.
Yep.
But that's I think this might be the year Danielle Hunter really does get noticed. Because you're doing it for the Texans.
Yes.
And that's going to be a good team. Who knows if they're actually good? Like, sometimes all pieces don't work out together this way you think. Young players, you don't, just because you were a B-plus player last year doesn't mean that you're going to be an A player this year. Like,
Yep.
sometimes things go up and down. And they have a bunch of young guys who were really good last year. But it does seem like there's a real chance that they're just going to be dominant. And Danielle Hunter, if he has 16.5 sacks on that team, it's just crazy.
Yeah, and he's had a few years with double-digit sacks.
Yeah.
There was a few times throughout the course of his career, like mid-season, he's leading the league in sacks. He gets injured or whatever it may be. Like, I don't think he has a problem repeating performances. He just has to be healthy.
Yeah, and if you're the Texans, you're hoping you just did the DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller thing.
Heck
Or
yeah.
Von was a little bit further on in his career when DeMarcus got there.
Yeah.
But Danielle's going to have a lot of stuff that he could teach Will Anderson. So number 8, Josh Hines Allen. There's some interesting underlying numbers with him in particular. For example, I don't think they didn't go into this in the story, but he's one where a lot of his sacks, so he had 17.5 last year, great season, but there were a surprisingly high number that were, he was either unblocked as a rusher or offensive lineman just kind of stumbled, or like somebody else had a good rush and he just happened to scoop the guy up at the end. And when you have 17.5 sacks, having a handful or more that wound up kind of falling right into your lap is going to happen. But there are other guys like Max Crosby, for example, who has one of the highest double team rates in the NFL. I'm pretty sure they found not a single easy sack, unblocked type sack. And so that's where I'm curious with Josh Allen this year, if he just keeps it going. If these numbers are real, because sometimes it's like pitchers be like, oh, the ERA is low. Like, nobody's really scoring against him. He's getting the wins. But you look at some of the other numbers, and it's like, well, guys are getting on base. Like, you're kind of playing with fire here. So I don't know. I'm curious with him in particular. I think he's either going way up or way down after this year.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot where guys come scot-free off the edge. You get sacks that kind of inflates their numbers. I think he's a good player, and I think it's hard to get sacks no matter when it is in the league. So I don't want to discredit, his 17 and a half. And even, what's our guy here? Blanking on his name right
Nick
now.
Bonito.
Yeah, Nick Bonito. I felt like he had maybe 3 or 4 last year.
He did.
Coming scot-free off the edge, but we're not going to knock his 8 sacks that he had. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see because once you become a top 5 player, there's no more of like, oh dang, we forgot to block here. Oh, we thought we were sliding the other way. Like all protection's coming to you. We're checking you every time we break the huddle. Like there's no way you're gonna get scot-free again. So they'll be coming for him.
Honorable mentions here: Khalil Mack, Rashawn Gary, Hassan Reddick, Jalen Phillips, Montez Sweat, Will Anderson. Of this group, who do you think is most likely to be top 10 next year? It's a tough one.
I would say Jalen Phillips and Will Anderson.
Yeah.
Jalen Phillips was injured this year, right?
Yep,
He got injured.
Achilles.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he was a baller before that and having a good season.
That's where I was going to go too.
Yeah, so I definitely think he could be top 10. And Will Anderson, honorable mention after your rookie season. You're either going to have a sophomore slump or you're going to, figure it out and ball out.
It's also pretty crazy that Khalil Mack is still on this list. And honestly, he probably should be higher. Like, he had 17 sacks last year.
Yeah.
He had that, what was this, 6-sack game? Something like that really helped his numbers. But still, no, thank goodness. Well, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
I was there for that.
Yeah, that was a sad one. Crazy, though. Like, coming off a 17-sack season, I'm pretty sure that was last year. He doesn't make it in the top 10.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, I mean, Rashawn Gary, good player, kind of know who he is. Hassan Reddick, really good player, but kind of know what he is also. Also receiving votes, Joey Bosa, Jonathan Greenard, Matthew Judon.
Yeah, I think he's a hell of a player.
Yep.
He only had 4 sacks last year compared to the 15 and a half that he had before that.
Okay. 19 and a half in 2 years is still great, though.
Yes, but not when you have 15 and a half of them in 1 year. So definitely a down year for him, but I think he is still one of the best pass rushers in the league. So
definitely.
he just had to bounce back. Thibodeau, I think, is a good player. He's at times, you know what I'm saying? I think he's like flashy at times. I wouldn't say he's the most consistent. Chubb, of course, we know how dominant Chubb is. Jadeveon Clowney's on the list because he kind of had a bounce back year. And then also he's a first round draft pick, so he's also going to get some love. But it's funny, if I ask you who has more sacks in their career, Shaq Barrett or Jadeveon Clowney, who would you say?
You'd have to say Jadeveon Clowney.
And that's wrong.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Yeah.
So it is what it is. First round draft picks get all the love, but
they do.
We know who the real dogs are.
Yep. Trayvon Walker, Josh Sweat, Alex Highsmith also on that list. Kayvon Thibodeau is a crazy one. Like, I think... Yeah, I haven't watched the Giants too much just because they haven't given me too much reason to. It seems like he should be better than he is. I remember at Pac-12 Media Day a few years ago, I ran into him and Justin Herbert, and seeing those two, I was like, seeing Kayvon Thibodeau next to like a prototypically sized quarterback, you're just like, oh my goodness, like this guy's a monster. He's 6'5", 6'6", like just absolutely ripped. Meanwhile, Justin Herbert, I saw him. They had this big inflatable chair, and so they just like put it outside, and everybody takes pictures, and it's like it's a fun thing. Apparently, it was really hot in the sun, so Justin Herbert just like jumps up on the chair and then just starts like screaming like a little girl because it's so hot and jumping up. I was like, it's like I wouldn't draft him. And it turns out I might have been wrong, but yeah, Thibodeau's one who I'm surprised hasn't been better. But this is also a really deep list. Like you go all the way down that, like the fact that you can't even get an honorable mention if you're Judon or Joey Bosa or Jadeveon Clowney, Trayvon Walker, Bradley. It makes it really tough to believe that a Bronco's going to be even getting votes next year.
Yeah, because Chubb had double-digit sacks last year, right?
He was close.
9.
9. Was it just 9? Yeah. It does and that's the other thing is that I think just getting double-digit sacks isn't going to be enough because they want to put Clowney on the list. You know, they want to put Bosa on the list. So you've got to, if you're a young guy, especially a young guy who wasn't a high draft pick, you've got to really do something to crack this list.
You got to go to work.
Nick Benito, maybe the most likely, or Baron Browning?
Baron Browning.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, he's my favorite outside linebacker we have. I think he's the most talented. I think we have a few talented guys in the room, but out of the talent that we have, Baron Browning has flashed the most, and he just has to be healthy. And he's the most versatile.
Yes.
Like I think Jonathan Cooper's the best in the run game. Nick Benito's a little bit better in the passing game. But I think Baron Browning, you can leave him on first, second, third down. He could do it all.
Yep. He's the only one in the group who occasionally has plays where you say like, oh, that kind of looked like Vaughn. Now he doesn't do it like over and over and over, but occasionally he'll just bend around the edge in that way that Vaughn used to and be like, oh, that 56 kind of looks like that 58 for a second. Now he's number 5, but
yeah, I think it's like the stature or something, or like the way that they're built.
Yeah,
like bigger quads, hamstring guys, and you like
definitely
it definitely like gets tricky for a moment where you feel like it's him, but you're like, oh no, that was Baron.
Yeah,
like,
or have like a little spin move. Yeah. All right. Might as well move on to this
Chubb got 11
draft.
last year.
Chubb got 11. Yeah, he's another good player. It's just so hard when you have a guy who you know is a good player and you let him go. And I get you're able to pick up the draft picks and you saved a bunch of money, but the Broncos could really use a Bradley Chubb right now.
Well, and let him go.
They let him go. Okay, we're going to jump into this draft now.
Oh, yeah, let's get it going.
Best 90s movies.
This is tough because I think you start forgetting about all the great movies. You know what I'm saying?
I know. That's where I've got 2 picks that I feel really good about.
Okay.
Actually, I think I have a third. But it's tough because a couple of them are kind of on the line of whether they're 90s or not.
Uh-huh.
There are a couple sequels in there that I probably shouldn't be trying to get in.
So you have the first pick, I guess. Cause,
I do?
The way it's looking right now, yeah, I think you're first on the list.
The tough part is because I know 4 of the 5 I want to get. So it's all about which ones you're going to try to take.
Ooh.
And I don't...
You better choose wisely.
I know. Give me Jurassic Park.
Ah, that's a great movie.
I love Jurassic Park.
Great
I think
movie.
that's I actually... Oh, good. Yeah, I watched Jurassic Park a couple weeks ago because my girlfriend's always gone, as you know. So she was gone, and so I was like, I'm going to watch all the Jurassic Park movies. But then I got done with them, and she came back, and I rewatched a couple with her because they're just that good.
Yeah.
You can just watch them over and over and over.
No, yeah, that's one series that has been good all the way through. You know how some series where the original ones are good, but then they do remakes and they're all bad. The 90s Jurassic Park and also the 2010s and on Jurassic Park is all good.
Dinosaurs are just the best. And the thing is, you can't even... I would love to make a dinosaur movie, but that one's just so perfect. I don't know how you do it. Because they figure out the way to be we found the DNA and we're able to replicate off that. How do you think of another way for there to be dinosaurs currently on Earth again?
Yeah, not another cool way.
No,
There's nothing else.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's no other way. It has to be a time machine movie, which isn't nearly as cool as those, you know?
No, if you put Back to the Future and you added dinosaurs, that sounds lame.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
then they were able to find a way to make it so that the dinosaurs just have their... It's like an amusement park with dinosaurs. You can't make another dinosaur movie because that was so good. All you can do is remake Jurassic Park when it's time.
Yeah, without a doubt. Oh, man, there's so many to go with.
I know.
But I think this one's a classic. So I got a few that I'm thinking about right now, but I think my first pick, just because of how iconic it is Home Alone.
Ooh.
I don't think you can beat Home Alone. Jurassic Park is very, very close. There's a couple other movies I may like more than Home Alone, but Home Alone, just for what it was in the 90s. And even now, when you think of Christmas, top 2 Christmas movies, Home Alone and Die Hard. Like,
Yeah. Die Hard,
it.
yeah.
That's it.
Yep. No, I think that's a good pick. I've got 4 that I really like. I'm just not sure what to do with the 5th one, and I don't want to let you have it. If I'll take. I also feel like there's something to the order when people see these and vote, because I don't want to put. Give me Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
Best war movie I think that's ever been made. I think it's a classic. I think it deserves to be a number 2 pickup here. That's another one. Again, Girlfriend's Gone. I'm going to be turning all these on.
Oh man, there's too many good ones. Like
I know it's crazy. Look at all
like
these.
you don't know which one to go with. Like
We need like 4 people on this to like thin out all the options.
yeah, because I could always go. I could go like all kid movies.
You
I
could
go all like action movies. I can go like. Oh man, do I go? All right, I'm gonna start with the kid movies and then. Now I'm gonna mix it up so my list looks good. Give me The Matrix. If you're not a fan of The Matrix, something is wrong with you. Whether it's blue pill, red pill, like take one of them and experience something. Like you can't beat The Matrix. Come on, guys.
I know. We had to watch it in high school.
They made you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
I know. It turned out, but then like because of it, I never had like I liked it. But you can only like it so much when you're kind of being like forced to watch it. And so then I went back a couple years later and I was like, this isn't just like an all right movie. This really is a great movie. And kids should have to watch it. All right. This one to me is Independence Day. I love that movie. It's another one. Girlfriend hates it, which is just so sad. But
oh, dang.
And everything about Independence Day. Because it's another one where I'm generally not into like alien movies or things that are like kind of unrealistic, but that one just does it so well. It's like, what would happen if like the aliens came to Earth? And it's just Independence Day is one of my favorite movies ever. I might even like it. No, Jurassic Park is still better.
There's two like now that I'm like looking at lists, like there's too many good movies.
I know.
Like you could really, you know what I'm saying?
Really going crazy for the last like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, it's too many great movies. Number 3, just for us, another iconic movie. Give me Friday. Friday
Yeah,
After Next.
that's a good one.
I mean, come on.
I was considering that.
That started a whole wave, and I don't think
It did.
movies have been the same since. Like as far as like comedy wise, and just almost felt like there was no script, but there was a little bit of a script. A lot of ad libbing, and like you saw a lot of people like coming to their own in their roles there. So Friday, man, can't beat it.
That's another one I haven't watched in a while. That might need to be on the list for the weekend. I'm really struggling. I got the 3 I felt like I needed to have. I would have been upset with myself if I didn't get those. Let me see. I got to check what year this one was made. It's not showing up on the list. Give me Shawshank Redemption. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I haven't watched it in a while. I probably should.
Oh my gosh, I'm seeing like movies like you know what I'm saying, movies that you loved as a kid.
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy because somehow I don't want to name any names to give you any ideas, but there's like an entire genre of movie that I just don't think is gonna fit on my list, and I think I'm making a massive mistake.
Okay, there's some here. Oh my gosh, there's some here like I can't not say like.
Maybe.
How do I not say Space Jam? Like, how do I not put that on the list?
I know.
Like, Space Jam has to be on the list. Put it at 4 for me. But there's like movies that I would choose to watch that I don't know if everybody else would like. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Put on their list.
I know.
But
But
Space Jam has to be top movie.
It
of the
has
90s.
to. Yeah, maybe instead of doing this podcast next week.
I feel like after like we'll have like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
We'll have time to run through the rest. Yeah. We might just need to do next week. It's just movie week. Just watch along. We'll pick a movie a day. I'm really down to my last pick. I'll take Twister.
Sandlot's a great movie too.
I like
though.
Twister.
Twister?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's okay, there are so many good movies that I probably like. If you were in like a film class or something, I'd be like, these are the classic movies, and Twister might not be that one, but I just rewatched the old Twister. I was coming back from Montana a couple days, or it was going up there. Again, it's one
And
more.
while you're driving?
No, we
It's not
flew.
safe.
We
As,
flew.
Oh,
as
okay.
somebody that minored in film, I can promise you Twisters was not on my curriculum. But
Yeah,
The Matrix was.
The
There you
Matrix. Oh
go.
yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Twister is so good though, and that's my girlfriend doesn't like it because it gave her nightmares when she was little. But then as soon as I'm watching it on my phone on the way up to Montana, she's like, "Ooh, that." If you're watching it
pretty
without me,
good.
it's like we've had this conversation multiple times. Of course, it was time for this. Yeah, Twister's an awesome movie.
I feel like, oh my gosh. I feel like there are so many movies that I want to put in this list, like for different reasons. So we talked about like sick movies, and
Yep.
I kind of want to put Cool Runnings at number 5 because
Oh.
that was my sick movie. But like, don't put it yet because there's other like, I like kind of like psychological
Yep.
thrillers. So man, I have a lot of kid movies. Do I have a lot of kid movies on there right now? Because you could do good like
I think Spaceship Failure older
and Home Alone.
movie. Oh, yeah. You got 2 of your 4.
All right, I'll just finish it off with one more kid movie just because. Yeah, I think it's either Lion King or Toy Story.
Oh.
Give me Lion King. I love Toy Story, but I think the music of the Lion King adds to another level. Like, not only was it a great movie with Scar and Mufasa and
Yo,
Simba, like,
oh, yeah.
but the music that was on it too.
Nala.
Yeah, and Phil Collins like singing like a
Timon
he
and Pumbaa.
Oh
They're
my
incredible.
gosh! Oh my gosh!
Best actors I've ever seen. Yeah, we my sister came down here a couple years ago when the new Lion King came out.
Yes,
And
and that was fire too.
it was good. Yeah, we went to see it in like the 4DX.
Hey, tell me that wasn't awesome.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was
you go
awesome.
and you get like little stingers in the back, and it's like the wind, and
And you
like
smell like the forest. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would go do that every day if I could.
Without- no, that was.
I'm gonna have to
dope.
go to the zoo today now. Ugh.
Oh, what about Hook? Like Hook is definitely.
Somebody mentioned Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump is
no,
dope
Forrest
too,
Gump's
like-
on the list. Goodfellas on the list. Like the fact that Titanic doesn't get drafted is pretty crazy.
Yes.
Like that's one that's like that's an all-time great movie. The Truman Show. Like I was thinking I might just need to like diversify my list a little bit, but
That's how I felt. I didn't want it all to be like kid movies, but at the same time, there's too many good ones.
yeah. I still haven't seen Fight Club.
Fight Club is dope.
Yep.
Dennis the
It's one of the
Menace,
worst things about
Mrs.
me.
Doubtfire. Come on.
Yeah.
Robin Williams
Yeah.
at his best.
Also, we didn't get any Adam Sandler. I guess some of those would have been early 2000s. There's-
Happy Gilmore was.
It would have to be 90s.
Yeah, I think Happy Gilmore was 90s. Yeah, Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, 94. 96. There we
The-
go.
The Mask. Come on, guys. Did you guys watch The Mask? Jim Carrey. Oh, he's
Yeah, that's
hilarious.
incredible.
Okay, have you guys seen Speed? I know I didn't put this on there either.
I don't think so.
Have you seen Speed? Oh, you gotta watch Speed.
I'll
Like
put
it's a
that on
good
the
action
list.
movie. So like if you have time today and you're just chilling, watch Speed. It's like it's not the craziest movie, but the premise is there's a guy on a bus and the bus driver basically gets a call like, hey, there's a bomb on the bus. And so you got to keep the bus above 60 miles an hour. If you go below 60 miles an hour, the bus is going to blow up and everybody's going to die. So it's like a whole movie trying to figure out how do we keep this bus moving, but at the same time, we got to get all these people off this bus.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Okay, I'm definitely watching that one too. Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
Ace Ventura.
Richie Rich. Come on. You guys didn't want to be Richie Rich?
Yeah.
Yes.
That one. So that one, I saw like a bit of it at like a friend's house. It was just kind of on.
Yeah.
I was like, this movie's incredible. We had to like go do something else. And I never figured out what movie it was.
Yeah.
And so like for the next 5 years, I was like,
You're
oh,
like,
I'd love to watch that movie. I
Who's
just,
the rich
I don't know
kid?
how to explain it. Like there's a rich kid. Like,
Yeah.
no.
He had McDonald's in the crib, had a slingshot, like race car track.
Oh, damn. These are
Everybody
incredible.
wanted to be Richie Rich. And then, like you said, some of those Disney originals, like Brink was dope. They had so many movies back in the day.
I used to listen to the Katie Nolan podcast back before ESPN fired her, and it was a really good podcast. Honestly, I'm kind of in a podcast hole right now. I
Yeah.
don't have anything good to listen to. New Eminem album will get me through the weekend. But they went through and did like a bracket of all those like Disney original movies.
Yep.
And I didn't watch most of them, but they got me to go back and watch them, and Brink was one of them.
Yep.
That is a really good movie.
It is.
Like, I just put it in a box. It's like, okay, it's a Disney movie, but that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Johnny Tsunami. Johnny Tsunami.
Yep, I
should've
watched
made
that
my
one
list.
too because of it.
Ed Pono, like that. That's a great movie.
Oh,
Jumanji.
Casino. Jumanji, yeah. That one gave me nightmares.
Because it was so good.
It was so good.
So CGI, but it felt real at the time.
I still haven't seen Schindler's List. It's a dark one, but
yeah,
that's
a little dark.
I
But something you just gotta see.
exactly. I just haven't been in a
Patties.
sad mood in a while.
You guys might have to break this up into genre next week.
Yeah, for sure.
I know.
Because it's
Yeah, this might just need to be 90s movies draft round 2 next week.
yep.
Oh,
Austin Powers.
Austin Power, that's crazy.
Liar, Liar.
I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen Liar, Liar? Okay, look.
I'll put it on my
What do you have?
list.
Speed, Liar, Liar with Jim Carrey.
Yep.
And then we gotta find some more.
Okay. This is probably enough of this. Hopefully everybody else is enjoying this. Silence of the Lambs. I started that one, but I didn't finish that. Yeah, that is true. What would Zach say to all of this?
He wouldn't have seen any of these.
No, he would just be shocked by all
All
of
his
it.
would be like sports documentaries.
Jerry Maguire.
Before 30 for 30.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Braveheart. That's another one. I started Braveheart a few months ago, but it started like so slow. I bailed. I was like, I can't do it for 3 hours right now.
You know one movie that
I got to put that back on the list.
is like a secret movie that I've always like has a special place in my heart.
Huh.
Watch it every year with my mom. The Parent Trap. With
Oh.
Lindsay Lohan. You know what I'm saying? I know I played in the NFL and blah, 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 but Parent Trap, you know what I'm saying? Lindsay Lohan did her thing.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think that was one that got bought on like our Apple account when I was a kid.
Parent Trap.
Yeah, so there's like those like 25 movies that like whenever you want, you can just watch it for free. And I rarely chose that one, but I did see a couple times when I was little, and that's a good movie.
You've Got Mail, like my wife's favorite movie.
Wow.
You've Got
Oh,
Mail.
really? Okay.
It's a good movie. American Pie is a classic.
Wow. Wouldn't have thought that was 90s.
Open so many eyes. Sitting there like, what the hell is
Why were
going on?
movies so much better back then?
I think they took more time.
Men in Black?
Men in Black.
Oh, I would have drafted Men in Black if I'd thought of that. Oh, damn it.
It felt like they took more time like to make a movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Face Off. Have you seen Face Off?
No.
Bro.
On the list.
Oh my gosh. The chat is throwing out some dope movies.
Oh, actually, the first of like the prequel Star Wars movies was 1999. Not as good as the original Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
But a very, very good movie when you're just looking at it in a vacuum.
The Sixth Sense.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I might just have to go on like a 90s movie
I
tear.
know that's how I'm spending my whole weekend.
Was Bad Boy in the 90s? No way. Bad Boys was 2000s.
It might have been 90s.
No way.
There's also
Huh? You're kidding me.
yeah, that's one that I just watched that one for the first time a few weeks ago, and that's
Oh, I
another
need
one
to
that's just
change my
incredible.
list.
I'm gonna change my list.
Oh, I
yeah,
convinced
Bad
Lexi
Boys
to watch
gotta
Bad
be on
Boys
there.
2, and she loved Bad Boys 2. I was like, I think I might be able to get her to watch
When the
Bad
Jamaicans
Boys.
come through.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
I should draft more of the Star Wars movies. Okay, that's going to do it for today. We'll be back. Still no Zach next week. He's off in Portugal. But we'll be talking football and maybe not movies on Monday. So be ready for that. Shout out to Landon and Tiffany for all the production stuff back there. We will see you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.